something confined to a room. I've had a lot of part-time jobs in my life. I've never had a regular job. I just don't like the idea of working in the same place all the time. I've been working at one place for a while, then quitting and working at another for a few years. I've lived mostly in internet cafes. Rootless is my way of life. I've been working for one company for a long time now. It's a part-time job at an all kinds of company. I've done a lot of different jobs, but I don't have any specialized knowledge, so anyone can do it, like standing in line in the morning to buy a popular product, or cleaning a messy room. But each time it's a different place and a different job, so I enjoy it a lot. I wondered what kind of job I would get this time, and this time it was a very simple job, a little personal care. All I had to do was go to someone's house and sometimes bring things to the person who lived upstairs. I asked him about the details, and he told me that he wanted me to take care of a NEET. There is a NEET in the house who has been holed up in his room for years, maybe even decades, and he seriously never leaves his room. Every day, his parents take his meals to his room. The mother, who used to be a housewife, used to take care of the NEET, but she recently passed away, leaving the father alone. The father works to support the NEET, so he cannot take care of him during the daytime. So he offered me a job. I refused at first. I mean, he never leaves his room, he probably doesn't take a bath, he probably doesn't even go to the bathroom properly. If I'm not careful, they might make me dispose of a plastic bottle full of urine. I don't want that. But according to what I've heard, you don't have to do that. I just have to take care of him when he's not around, and he doesn't have to do the hard stuff. Just have him bring meals and go shopping. You can watch TV or play games or do whatever you want during the waiting time. When I asked about the hourly rate, it was rather good. I was not sure about it, but I decided to give it a try for a day. If it was too hard, I could quit right away. The next day, I went to the address he gave me. The house was a house in a residential area that could be found anywhere. I rang the chime and a gray-haired old man answered the door. "Thank you very much for your time. My name is Sato, pseudonym, the person who requested this service." This guy seemed to be a neat father. He seemed very serious. He explained to me what was going on. I had been taking care of him for many years, but after my wife died, I couldn't do it alone. So I asked him to help me. Basically, I stayed inside. You're free to do whatever you want while you're waiting. You can eat snacks, play video games, whatever you want. But if you hear banging on the floor from the room at the end of the second floor, go there immediately. There will be a note in front of your room, so just follow the instructions. Most of the time, they will ask you to prepare a meal or buy something, not to do anything too difficult. If you ask me to prepare lunch, I will prepare a lunch box in the refrigerator every day, and I want you to heat it up and put it in front of your room. If it's snacks, I want you to put them on a plate on the shelf. Sometimes they ask me to buy something for them. In that case, I have money ready, so please go to the nearest convenience store and buy something. I'll be back in the evening. Until then, please. As far as I'm concerned, it's an easy job. I must be off to the office soon. Then, please take care of it. And this is a request, but please don't ever try to see me. Now then. And with that, the old man left. I don't want to see a good old NEET without being told. Come to think of it, you never once told me what kind of people lived there. I don't even know if it's a man or a woman. Well, I'm not interested. I was allowed to do whatever I wanted while I was on standby, so I spent my time playing phone games. After a while, I heard a tap on the floor. That's your cue. I went up the stairs to the second floor. The second floor was kind of dark. The windows are open and the sun is shining, but what is this darkness? Has a NEET been living in this back room for a long time? When I went to the front of the room, I found a piece of paper on the floor. Lunch. It was written in dirty letters as if it was written by a child. I went back downstairs, opened the refrigerator and found a lunch box. I microwaved it and put it in front of my room. "Lunch is ready," I said and went downstairs. After an hour or so, I heard the noise again from upstairs. I went upstairs and found an empty lunchbox, as if he had finished eating. There were leftovers everywhere, and it was in a very messy state. I took it back downstairs and put it in the kitchen sink. The old man said he would do the dishes. I just carry it. After a while, I got the signal again, so I went downstairs, and this time there was a note with snacks and juice. I took a bag of chips off the shelf, put them on a plate, and got a glass and a bottle of juice. I put them in front of the room, said I had the snacks and juice, and left. A little while later, I get the signal again to go do the dishes. That was all I did that day. The rest of the day was standby time all the way. In the evening, the old man came home and said, "Thank you very much for today." He gave me 10,000 yen on the spot. It was a pretty easy job. I decided to keep the job. I continued to work 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, when the old man had his job, and I continued to work with the NEET. There's not much to do. Deliver lunch and snacks and clean up. And that's it. Sometimes I get a note asking me to buy batteries or tissues or something. At that time, I just go to the convenience store with the money prepared in advance and buy them and put them in front of my room as usual. A job a grade schooler could do. This is 10,000 a day, and I can't stop laughing. But what kind of a man is he? I've been here more than 10 times, and I've never seen or heard from him. It's like he never leaves that room. At first, I wasn't interested in finding out what kind of person was in there, but when I don't see him this often, I get more and more interested. Maybe I should sneak a peek next time. Put the food down, pretend to go back downstairs, and wait for them to sneak out of their rooms. They'll never know. One day, I was waiting as usual, playing a game, when the usual thumping signal came. I went upstairs to find a note that said lunch. I heated up the lunch box in the fridge as usual and put it in front of my room. Then I decided to go back downstairs and hide myself in the middle of the stairs to observe the room with the NEET guy. In a little while, the door would open and I would be able to see him. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Quite a few minutes passed, but the door did not open at all. What the hell? When are you gonna open it? You can't be too careful. No, this can't be, they know I'm lurking, right? I don't know what to do. I'm getting sore by the minute. I don't really want to see it. I should just give up and go back downstairs. That's what I was thinking. I heard a creak and looked to see the door slowly opening. Here it comes. I tried not to breathe, tried not to make a sound. Now let's see what he's like. A little while later, a hand reached out from behind me. It was a skinny arm, nothing but skin and bone. At first I thought, he's so skinny. But soon I noticed something unusual. The arm kept getting longer and longer. Before I knew it, it had grown to about the height of a man. It was 2 meters high. He tapped the dishes several times with his fingers, which were as oddly extended as his arms, and then he grabbed the dishes and took them into the room. And then the door closed with another creak. I couldn't move for a while. After a while, I found it hard to breathe. I realized I wasn't breathing properly, so I tried to breathe consciously. What was that? What was that? I had no idea what was going on, and the urge to scream was rising up inside me. I suppressed it as hard as I could. Anyway, let's go back downstairs to the living room. I went down the stairs. I tried not to make a sound, but honestly, I'm not sure I did. When I got down to the living room, I started to sweat. What the hell was that? wasn't human. Something non-human is living in that room. Let's just get out of here. They'll be pissed, but I don't care. I packed my bags as fast as I could. And then the floor rang. You've already finished eating. I know you want me to clean up, but I don't feel like going in front of that room again. I'm standing there cowering, not wanting to go back there after seeing what I've seen, and then I hear it again. The sound echoes repeatedly, as if urging you on. This is not good. If we don't do something, he's gonna come out of his room. We don't have a choice. Let's go get them. Let's just go get the dishes quickly, and then we'll disperse. I went upstairs again. The door was closed and the dishes were on the table. I strode up and picked up the dishes. Let's get downstairs quickly. That's when I turned around.
You saw that?
I heard a voice behind me. It was a very muffled, low voice. I looked in the direction of the voice and saw a door open and an arm reaching out through it. It was thin, like a branch, and it was reaching toward me, and it looked like it was about to catch me. Oh, my God. I threw the dishes and ran away. I went back to the living room, picked up my bag, and fled the house. I turned off my phone and ran as far away as I could. I've never been so glad to be rootless and living in a cafe as I was at that moment. If they came after me, it wouldn't have been easy for them to locate me. I left my phone off for 3 days, then turned it back on, but it didn't seem to have heard from my part-time job. I'm planning on backing out of this one. I don't want to go back to that shithole. I just can't help but wonder what it was all about. I checked around the house to see if there had been any incidents in the past, but I couldn't find anything. But that old man's name. I looked up the name he used to call himself and got some hits. They were from a case over 20 years ago. 20 suspect. Arrested for stabbing a female coworker. The woman is dead. The old man had committed crimes in the past. And murder. The suspect had a one-sided love affair with a female coworker. The woman had promised to marry another man and was pregnant with his child. Unbeknownst to the suspect, he got angry and killed her. That's what they said. And the next year he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. 20 years. Which means that old man was recently released from prison. No, but he said he'd been taking care of him for years. Now that his wife is dead, he can't take care of her anymore. But if this article is true, he doesn't even have a wife, let alone children, does he? What does this mean? That man's fantasy? But then, what was that monster in the room? That was. I went back and looked at the articles from over 20 years ago. The woman he killed was pregnant. The old man must have wanted a child of his own. But I couldn't. But the old man said he'd been taking care of him for years. Well, then, that monster. No, let's not do this. I started to make some connections, but then I stopped. Some things are better left unexplained. Some puzzles are better left unfinished. I swallowed the beer I had bought in one gulp and let the truth sink into the sea of drunkenness. This concludes this story. Thank you for listening to the end.